We are back. Welcome, 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 as John Oliver says, to another episode of Brevity Box, episode 24, I think. Sometimes we're close, sometimes we're right on the count. And once again, I am joined by Brando wearing his tribal onesie as usual.
With
And our
a
favorite.
pair of pit vipers to match.
I
Respect the
wasn't going to
drip.
mention the Pit Vipers, but yes, to match.
Nice.
And of course, the sunshine in our thruple, Becky,
Stop.
flashing that good hair.
Oh, thank you. Does look good
What's
today.
new? What's funky, people? How you doing? How's your week?
Better now.
Better now. That's right. That's right. That's how it feels. I've had a few things in my head. I want to kind of get off the top before we get into how clairvoyant we are with some of the shit that we do here.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to say for anybody that's looking to ask questions about Loki, not going to tell you anything. We're not that kind of show. Watch it. It's really good. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I was just telling Brando, I know everybody's got a little bit of hero fatigue and they're tired of all of it. I'm telling you, that's a nice step away. Becky, do you watch any of the hero kind of? You don't seem like the kind of person who would be into Iron Man or the Avengers. Am I right about that?
No, I watch them.
Really?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. I haven't watched Loki
Nice.
yet, though, because I'm watching the Mighty Ducks right now.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Wait, there's a Mighty Ducks series now?
Yeah, on Disney Plus.
Jeez.
Okay, I'm ignorant, and I think this is a dumb question, but I have to know.
Yeah.
Is Emilio Estevez involved at all?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
You guys have to watch it. It's really good.
I kind of want to watch it. I'm
Do
all
it.
in for supporting a Sheen.
I will only support that Sheen and Martin Sheen. Thank you.
Martin Sheen's great. Emilio Estevez is sort of a weird icon for me growing up. And I mean, even in movies that I don't know if anybody really saw. Like, he made a movie in the 80s, I think with Demi Moore, that was called Wisdom, which, one of those 80s movies that sort of, it was all a dream, spoiler, but it was a great movie. And it kind of followed in line with it was sort of a modern day twist, in my opinion, of the kind of character that he played so perfectly in Young Guns, which is one of my favorite movies. And I can't imagine that you don't like Young Guns and Young Guns 2, Becky.
I like those movies. I like
I love
all the
those
old 80s movies. It's my jam.
I like a lot of them. I don't know if
Teen
I like
Almost-
all
Teen
of them,
Almost
but I like a lot of them.
Fire, Breakfast Club,
Yeah. About Last Night,
Fiction
every John Hughes
Candles,
film,
Commando.
Say Anything,
Commando, Die Hard. Man, half these movies are on Retro Futures Cultures podcast. Total Recall,
RoboCop.
In fact, he just did one for They Live, which is I mean, I can't not think about Roddy Piper. I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. It's legendary.
I have a t-shirt that says that.
Oh, that's plugs right in. Today's episode of Brevity Box is brought to you by the Retro Futurist Culture Podcast.
You're welcome.
Which is just released an episode on They Live, and you should check it out. Actually, I should go through the whole thing. Brevity Box is brought to you by the Ruminations Radio Network, and we're very proud to be part of this collaboration with other podcasts like RFC or like Cinephile Hissy Fit, which just did an episode on Black Widow that is great. And they just released today was an episode for the 2009 remake of Star Trek. But we have a lot of different things. And for anybody who's listening, you might want to go to www.ruminationsradionetwork.com and check out the wide variety of different kinds of podcasts and themes and hosts that we have as part of this collaboration that we really enjoy being a part of all the time.
They're
We help
really
each other
great. You
out.
won't regret it.
Yeah. No, a lot of fun. But kind of moving on. Yeah, They Live is one of those movies that just sticks out from the 80s, and you can kind of see it, right? I
Mhm.
mean, the whole movie was so odd, and as it's aged, it's become more like relevant in a way.
Mhm.
You know, that
Yeah.
you put on the sunglasses and you realize that you can see all the subliminal messages in mass media,
Yeah.
obey, that kind of thing. You
Mhm.
know what I learned about that surprised me is the whether you like that this president or not, Barack Obama's was a poster that said hope, and it was kind of a color blocked two-tone image straight on of his face.
Shout out Shepard Fairey.
Also, that's the thing. Shepard Fairey is his style and is very much influenced at that time by They Live, just by
Mm.
seeing those images and whatnot. And if you go through his catalog, whether it's Obey, or whether it's any of these other images that he's done of Maya Angelou or Barack Obama or anybody
Mhm.
or anything to send a message, his art is very much influenced by this kind of 80s flick. Here's a random bit of trivia for you. But it's you can see it. Like I think I commented to Optimus today, host of RFC, that I'll never look at those images the same again. I'll always associate Barack Obama and Rowdy Roddy Piper now, and it's going to make me seem very, very worthy of mental health care when I'm 75.
It's okay. We'll
Because
find a good place for you as you
but
grow
I'm going
old.
to be talking about how they're associated, and people are going to think I'm
You'll be
well
in
out
the
of my mind.
corner, rocking back and forth.
I'm all out of bubble gum. I'm all out of bubble
I'm gonna
gum.
kick your ass.
Just
I'm gonna
over and
kick
over
your
and over.
ass.
Take your pills, Mr. Langley. So
Let's go into
no,
this
it's
little room over here, sir.
no, I love the 80s movies. I love the 80s action. It's kind of part of I think part of why I've enjoyed a lot of what Disney has put out with some of the Marvel uh, properties. I enjoyed WandaVision, and I like the
I really
escape.
liked WandaVision.
I did too. And I think I've heard some people give these big critiques on how things were supposed to end a certain way. I think what
Listen,
really
it's
First of
entertainment.
well,
all, pull your head out of
yeah.
your own ass and just let people enjoy it, you internet
Yeah.
weirdos.
Here's what gets me about it though. These same individuals are the people who were talking up Game of Thrones, and nothing until you got to those last few seasons. No one season of that show, and I'm just talking about the show, not the books, but
The
no
books that
one
will never
season
be
of that
finished.
show. Say again?
The books that will never be finished.
Did he
No, they
die?
won't be. I don't think so.
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Whew.
Shucks. No, no, but the thing is that none of those seasons did anything end in Game of Thrones the way that people critique what they think should have happened in WandaVision. And because there a lot of the criticism, or at least the one that I think is most prevalent of that show, is that there was no ramifications for Wanda or something at the end of the show. And okay, it is a show, it is one season. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but like you said, Becky, it's just
It's entertainment.
enjoy it.
We
Yeah, I
needed
mean,
it. It came out in a time when we needed it.
So
I
it was kind
kind
of
of
like this year's Tiger King.
Yes.
Not in a time when we all really needed it.
a
Yes.
little perfect, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that way about a lot of, like, I thought Bill and Ted's Face the Music last year was exactly what I needed when it came out. I didn't have to think. I just got to sit back and enjoy it, and that was really reminiscent of some of those 80s movies that I love.
Mhm.
I didn't have to go and delve into whether they wrote that character out correctly. And
Yeah.
in terms of WandaVision, I mean, maybe you guys were like me as a kid. I mean, we didn't have helicopter parents. We were kind of latchkey kids. I certainly grew up with the television on, and I
Yeah.
remember
Yep.
so much of that classic TV, and reruns really influenced. So I watched a lot of uh Mary Tyler Moore, Dick Van Dyke. I was a child, but I
Mhm.
remember them. I remember laughing when I the way the jokes built up, and it laid a foundation for humor, right? That I
Yeah.
think carried on. And WandaVision, outside of, if you kind of just look at the production and what I think they were nominated for Emmys
23.
for, yeah, is their celebration of that scope of television.
Mhm.
And the storyline just kind of lent itself to being able to make these episodes where they were clearly modeling them after different shows per episode. So,
Yeah.
one you have Dick Van Dyke, and the next you have Mary Tyler Moore, and then
Mhm.
Bewitched and I Love Lucy. And what think people missed, and that I didn't know right off the bat, was that it wasn't just that they were adding like a black and white filter and having them do the old style of physical comedy. They actually put them in front of a live studio audience,
Yeah.
and the special effects were the same kinds of special effects that they would have had to use at that time. And apparently they had Dick Van Dyke as a consultant
That's
for
so
them,
cool.
and on the show, right? So it was a major
So cool.
accomplishment, and I think a lot of people just didn't, either they didn't know that that was something that was part of why or people enjoyed it, or they just didn't care, right?
They didn't care.
Um, right. There
They're
wasn't enough
set
laser
Those
they're
blasts,
damn
but
set
young
in their
millennials
ways.
and Generation Zs didn't care.
Yeah.
Pesky kids.
They're like,
I mean,
"What the fuck?" While they're doing
well,
TikTok
right,
dances.
right. I really I enjoyed that. It
It
like
was very
touched
good.
on many parts of, it felt like revisiting growing up with American television in the background. And the
They're
way
doing
they tied that to her was
Oh, yeah.
pretty great.
They're doing like
Pretty
a
great.
one of the channels is doing sorry, I'm going through
No,
puberty.
jump.
One of the, channels is doing like a whole, like, kind of like biography view on sitcoms. I wish I could remember which one it is right now, but it looks really interesting where they're gonna go back and talk about, like, the American family and the sitcom and how it changes. It looks like it's gonna be really good.
Yeah. I mean, from 8 is enough. I mean, but you know what?
Mhm.
I remember kind of being thrown back by One Day at a Time. I didn't like that show, and my sister and my mom loved that show,
Mhm.
the old One Day at a Time. But I
Yeah.
mean,
I didn't care for that
I
one.
I well, I think that you've seen more prevalence in how things are going more reflective of reality.
Yeah.
Somehow, My Two Dads was one of the shows that broke the mold, but they weren't in a relationship together. It was like two bachelors, right? And then that
Yeah.
became,
Kinda like the 3 Men and a Baby.
yeah. And then Two and a Half Men. It's always been kind of a trope, huh?
Yeah.
That's right. And we're back to Charlie Sheen, and then we're 1 degree away from Emilio Estevez, and we're back to Mighty Ducks.
It's great. You guys need to check it out.
We will, we will.
Yeah.
So kind of want to touch on something, if for you listeners, yeah, and I don't know if I know we're kind of tickled by this reality, but apparently Brando isn't the only one that is clairvoyant, before, talking about the first openly gay NFL football player coming out, which
Mhm.
he got right at the about the time, and he got the position wrong,
Yeah.
as usual, Brando.
What can I say?
But what's interesting is now it turns out that if you've been listening for at least the last couple of episodes, then you might have heard that we did a PSA that we completely, I mean, I did not know any, we made it up. 100% made it up on the spot. It was it was driven by a corny, sad tune that was on our soundboard, and we made the best of it. And I'm just going to read you the headline of an article that was discovered by none other than Brando.
Are
And
you
then I'm
gonna
going to let you hear the PSA, and then I'm going to read you the content of the article from WebMD.
are you gonna read
So,
it to the sad music?
no, I'm just going to
Aw.
read it to get through it. I don't want to give it that much. Too emotional.
Oh, you don't
I've
wanna
got
shed
such a
a
good
tear.
voice. I don't want to take people on that journey. All right. So, just for those who may need a refresher, here is the PSA that we completely pulled from betwixt our cheeks and had a good time, and it turned out to be a lot of fun. So here we go. Let's do that.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get it. The CDC has just released some grim and affecting news to all men across the country. It turns out that coronavirus causes erectile dysfunction. But only for those who aren't vaccinated.
So get the shot, retard.
It turns out that Viagra isn't the only thing that can help you get a nice, manly, stiff one. Now, you can go for Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, or Johnson & Johnson.
But don't go for Johnson & Johnson.
You don't want to take that chance. Get your erection back. Get back to feeling like a man. Get vaccinated. Or live without a boner for the rest of your life. If you want more information, please check us out at savetheboners.org. So that was our savetheboners.org spoof. And it's so much fun, and it just makes me smile because, it's important for us to help the community, and that's what we're really trying to do, is get the message out to people and try to help our
Get
fellow
your damn
man.
shot.
'Cause get your damn shot. So here's the funny thing. On WebMD, and I will post a link on Instagram so you can check it out yourself, but I'm sure you can Google it and find it. The headline is Coronavirus Lingers in Penis and Could Cause Impotence. And this was by Dennis Thompson, who is a Health Day reporter. Now, apparently, this is put out on May 13th, but we did not know that. But it says that men now have one more compelling reason to get a COVID-19 vaccine. Doctors suspect the new coronavirus could make it hard to perform in the bedroom. We're talking about boners.
Snap.
How, you might ask? Coronavirus infection is already known to damage blood vessels and vessels that supply blood to the penis. No exception. Researchers armed with an electron microscope found coronavirus particles in penile tissue samples taken from two former COVID-19 patients who became impotent following their infection, which had occurred 6 and 8 months earlier. Further study revealed evidence of blood vessel damage in the penises of the COVID-19 patients, compared to 2 other men with erectile dysfunction who'd never been infected. So let me just give a solid nod to whoever was in the clinical office and decided that they needed to check the dicks. I mean, anyone can look at lungs, kidneys, brain function. Those are right there. But you got to go to that outside the box thinker that thought, what about their dicks?
Well,
Let's check
listen,
those
it could
out
have been
too.
the guys. They could have been like, dude, my dick's not working.
Oh, it was definitely guys looking into it.
They go to
Like
the
it was
doctor
started
and they're
off
like,
as a whisper.
Doc, my dick.
So Dr. Ranjith Ramasamy, director of the reproductive urology program at the University of Miami's Miller School of Medicine, said, "We found that the virus affects the blood vessels that supply the penis, causing erectile dysfunction. The blood vessels themselves malfunction and are not able to provide enough blood to enter the penis for an erection." I mean, do I need to play that damn PSA again? Were we not can we just give ourselves a little
We just need a
pat
little golf clap.
on the back? Well, come on. First off, let's cover some ground here. We have a medical professional
Mhm,
that is right here
mhm.
with good hair
Yes.
and a lot of attitude. And we just need some quick questions for the RN in the house.
Mhm.
That shit is real,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Do your whatever you want to. It's real.
Mhm.
Get over it. Delta don't play.
No,
For
it
those
don't.
of you who don't know, the Delta variant. Like, here's the thing. And this is what I boil it down to. If you have a problem believing in evolution in general, you probably have a problem believing in how this virus works. not to draw criticisms, but that's basically the truth.
It is.
This thing evolves. It evolves, and the more places and people it gets to, the more evolution that happens and the more dangerous it becomes. And then we
Mhm.
get the Delta variant. So, Delta variant, if the regular variant was attacking erections, I don't even want to know what Delta
Your
does to
dick's
your
gonna
dick.
fall off. It's just
Yeah.
gonna fall off. It's gonna
Wouldn't
get
that, but you know,
necrotic.
how much of a response do you think that would get?
Oh, you know so many would go, "My dick could fall
Yeah,
off.
the minute dicks
Better
start
get that
becoming
shot."
necrotic because of Delta variant,
Yeah.
it's 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 gonna be a
You're gonna see, PSA photos of necrotic dicks everywhere soon.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah, and
welcome,
then you're gonna hear
CDC.
Marjorie Taylor Greene say, "I didn't mind losing mine." We'll but
Burn.
hey, I had to give us a bit of a round of applause here. And by the way, if that comes off as somehow insensitive, take a joke.
Yeah,
Just a
learn how
joke.
to take a joke, people.
Ha,
Get your
ha,
head out of
ha,
your
ha, ha.
ass.
Yeah, we totally nailed this one right. Brevity Box
Mhm.
got it right on dicks. Brevity Box, we know dicks. That's
Especially me.
that's you know what? I have a whole idea for a dating program for you. But I
Oh,
thought it was worth
sweet.
covering. Yeah, I thought it was worth covering that
Listen, you
we
guys are
made a
just
spoof.
gifted prophets, and we're so lucky to have you.
Clearly, we had the same thing. We just couldn't stop thinking about dicks. Dicks everywhere.
That's all I think
Oh
about
man.
24/7.
It's so damn funny that we got that right. I had so much fun. I don't think I've seen that headline, but you never know. Maybe I read it on May 15th and then
Yeah, you don't
it
know
got buried under a
all the
mountain of
other
other
headlines.
bullshit. Well, actually, let's move on to different headlines and let's get into some updates.
Mhm.
I thought it was pretty interesting that after we did our, we seem to be ahead of the game on a few things because after we did our podcast covering the trials and tribulations of Britney Spears' conservatorship,
Y'all, I'm so proud
it
of her.
seems now, huh?
I'm so proud of her.
I just think it's interesting that now it appears that for the first time, Miss Spears has the ability to choose her own attorney.
Mhm.
You know, that I
That's
just thought it
exciting.
sounded I think it's exciting. And even if you're not, I mean, I'm not particularly a Spears fan, but the story was interesting to me because of the fact that it really did seem like servitude
Mhm.
and that she was incarcerated,
Oh, yeah.
you know, held prisoner in a way. And what a piece of shit her dad seems to be. So kudos to you, Miss Britney Spears. Maybe one day we'll be lucky enough to have you on the show. We'll
Fingers
see. We'll
crossed.
see. Be fun to have. I mean, even just to get past that. Plus, Louisiana native, maybe we could
Make it
bond on
happen.
something here and there.
Make it happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe how low can Brittany drop before she wants to be a guest on my show? We'll find out coming soon. What
Listen,
else is
we're gonna
going
be
on
a
in?
big deal. Listen, okay?
Yeah, look, I plan on it. I'm just gonna play the humble bit, right? Oh no,
Oh,
I'm not that
no.
great. And then the three of us alone will be like, we're the shit. We called that
Anything
bit.
anything I'm involved with is the shit. So,
Damn
Yeah,
right.
pretty much. We
we're
can't
gonna
give it
get there.
away, right? We gotta start talking about the Dennis method to woo our listeners. But how about sports, Becky? We were just talking about earlier in the show. Yeah, I know you're following the NBA. I know that
Yes.
we had some things we wanted to cover in episodes past that we didn't get a
Mhm.
chance to get to. So let's just
Yes.
start with an NBA update and then we can talk about college athletes.
Yes.
Go for it.
NBA championship update. Suns and Bucks are tied in the series at 2 games apiece. They come back to Phoenix for game 5, and that's on Saturday. And Phoenix better win. I can't wait to
Yeah, I
have
mean,
non-biased announcers.
well, so this is kind of what you were saying. I mean, I'm used to that. It's to some extent in the NFL. I watch a lot more NFL than I do
It's
most
everywhere.
other sports.
Mhm.
But it's probably worse, I would imagine, with basketball
It
when you have announcers.
It's horrible to watch some of the games because they're so, like, pro a certain player or pro like, especially when you watch the Lakers. Makes me
Sure,
wanna
okay.
vomit in my mouth because LeBron can do no wrong. LeBron this, LeBron that, Devin Booker can have a 40-point game, but they don't talk about that. They talk about LeBron's lower ankle injury or, what's LeBron
Right.
gonna do on the offseason? Is he gonna change his number? Who the fuck cares? I
Riding
care
that
about the
jock.
game. Like,
And the
right
refs.
now, it's
I
all
mean, you were
about Giannis. Giannis had to go
Oh,
tinkle. Why is Giannis off the court? Why aren't they playing Giannis? How many seconds does it take Giannis to throw a free throw? You
Hey,
don't
man, when nature calls, you got to accept the charges.
Well, it was so cute though in his little interview because he doesn't speak English very well. They were like, "Why did you go off the court?" And he's all like, "I'm trying to find the polite way to say I had to take a tinkle." It was
I don't know
really
why, but
adorable.
I think I know it's gonna sound really horrible, but you're sitting there telling me about him, and I have a vague idea of his face,
Yeah.
but I don't know what he sounds like. So the only thing I'm
Oh, look
hearing
it
when you're
up.
telling me is he sounds like Borat in my mind.
He doesn't. He does not look
My
at
wife.
all what he sounds like. You need to look it up. It's
I will
it's
look it up. I want to
strange.
check it out.
It's so strange.
'Cause
His voice does not match his body. It's like you close your eyes and you're like, "What? That does not no, that doesn't make sense."
I love when that happens. That's one of my favorite little phenomenons that
I
happens.
just love a grown man saying tinkle.
Look with a deep, like Brando,
Yeah.
somebody with Brando's tone
A
saying
7 foot
tinkle.
7 foot tall
Tinkle.
man saying tinkle.
Can you give us a baritone tinkle? Brando, give me a deep, I gotta go take a tinkle.
I got to go take a tinkle.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. It does make me want to giggle.
Yeah. The whole
Brando's gotta
after
take a
game,
tinkle.
I was just like, "Oh my
Oh,
god," I was dying
wait, can
laughing.
I get you to do that one more time, but in the third person?
No.
Come on, Brando's gotta take a tinkle. Please.
Oh,
Please, please.
no. Moving on.
Please,
Oh, boo.
Brando. Boo, you whore.
Come on. We know
Come
you wanna do it.
on.
Brando's
No.
gotta take a
Brando.
Moving on.
tinkle.
Moving on.
Brando's gotta take a
Brando.
tinkle.
No.
I'm gonna
Brando.
post it as an advertisement on other podcasts. Brando's gotta take a tinkle. Well, so with
However, before we move on, though, we probably should take a break. Hear from, do a little station break here, and well, Brando's got a tinkle.
Do you ever find yourself sitting at the bar, beer in hand, watching the 4 o'clock Jacksonville Jaguars game, doing everything you can to beat your coworker's half-brother in fantasy football? Well, 25 Yards Later is here to help. We're a fantasy football podcast with top-notch analysis, earworm music, and plenty of laughs. Each week, we dive into 4 games, putting every fantasy-relevant and occasionally fantasy-irrelevant player under a microscope. Block out all the haters with 25 Yards Later and make sure that Chad knows that he isn't the best. Available everywhere you get your podcast.
back again, it is the BBC on the BBX. If you're just jumping in somehow 30 minutes into the show, we're an assortment box of different random topics that we like to cover with a bit of sarcasm, humor, and some animosity,
And
usually
booby.
from Brando. And some booby. Why not? And we're always right about dicks. We know dicks and douchebags because that's all
That's
you
what we
really
like.
date, right?
Yes.
Becky, I have a
Becky, I
question
mean,
for you.
Yes, sir. Mhm.
What if the total JJ Watt doppelganger came to pick you up for a date,
Oh
but
my
he was
god.
driving a PT
I
Cruiser?
don't care. I
Really?
don't care. If he
Like a
looked like
copped out PT Cruiser with the fake
Brando,
wood
if
pedaling?
he looked like JJ Watt, I'll buy him a new car. It's fine. If he looked
Wow.
exactly like JJ Watt, I'll be like, "Come here. Come
But
to
what if
come to mama."
what if it was JJ Watt's cousin that might have a touch of the fetal alcohol syndrome? You could still be in the family.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'd do it just 'cause I would be
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
family, and then that would get me one step closer to JJ.
There you go.
Becky just wants to climb trees.
I
That's
like to
all this
climb
is about.
trees.
She likes to climb
I
trees.
love it.
Pretty funny. Then on next episode, we gotta have a talk about how I think some I wish I had like like every guy who was under 5'6" had an identification card with punch holes. And if a guy who is totally unaware with no weird complex about his height, that he gets the hole punch. And when he comes across any number of the others that are the same height range that are giving us a bad name by having these complexes and being little bitches about it, that we get to come up and punch the hole in their card because they make the rest of us look fucking
They
terrible.
do.
They
The little
really do.
Napoleon complexes. I've dated a
I
couple of those
cannot
guys.
tell you how sick I am of hearing Napoleon complex.
It's
Just
true.
because it's
It's
the one thing
true.
they throw at people. I think you're right. The weird thing is I think you're right about more than you'd be wrong, but
Yeah.
I feel for the guy that the whoever is saying it is wrong about, because there's no defense.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it takes such a good amount of time for a guy to be like, "Yeah, I don't have a Napoleon complex." You'd have to know that person for a while before you'd go, "He doesn't." But if it's just in that moment, that day, you'll never there's nothing that anybody could do. If you try to emphasize you don't have a Napoleon complex, it's gonna come off sounding like you have a Napoleon complex.
True. True statement.
It's
Mhm.
true, right?
The
There's just
worst combo is the Napoleon complex and power complex.
oh, man.
'Cause I
I
dated
just
one
you
of
have
those
to have a
guys.
sense of humor. You just have to not be aware of it and not care. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I guess if you're one of those versions of short dudes that the arms are a little too short on a that's not I get it. Maybe you're upset about that. But, otherwise get over it.
Play ping
Why are you
pong.
carrying it around with you?
Be good at ping pong.
Speaking
I
of
don't even
playing
know.
something, we got to pivot here because what's up with college kids getting paid now for being
Oh,
athletes?
yeah. Yeah.
Is there a little
Hard
story?
pivot.
Let's hear it.
Hard pivot. Let's do it.
So the NCAA the last couple weeks, they've gone to court to get the right for the athletes to get paid for using their likeness, which I think is really cool. It only applies to D1 athletes, though. Um, but now it's official that they can get paid for their likeness. So college athletes can get paid like Nike deals. They can get
So this
paid
was a
for
Supreme Court
merch.
ruling.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm not refreshed up on all the I'm gonna look this up just real quick. Go ahead and keep talking. I'll get this. I'll be
Yeah,
back.
I just think it's really cool because how many years now of, these huge players made a name for themselves in college and gotten nothing for it. It
So
just kind of sucks for them, you know?
so here's what comes up first. Supreme Court rules against NCAA cap on student athlete compensation,
Mhm.
which basically means tuition scholarships, right? The Supreme Court unanimously ruled against the National Collegiate Athletic Association's restrictions on education related benefits for student athletes. The
Yeah.
NCAA is not above the law, quote unquote. I don't know who exactly said that. And that's just on June 29th. That's my wife's birthday.
Mhm.
The day after your birthday, Becky.
Yep. It's a nice
Um,
birthday present
so
for the athletes.
yeah, that was our gift. Yeah, so, as long as I've been alive, that was sort of how it went, and for there's examples of this all over, right? And
Mhm.
and whether it was, bad movies about kids getting, special treatment with cars gifted to them and
Mhm.
houses to their mothers and
Yeah.
girls sent to them, etcetera, that was never anything that you could acknowledge openly, or else like Reggie Bush, who was a decorated Super Bowl winning running back with the New Orleans Saints, and he had graduated from
USC.
UCLA,
USC.
pardon me.
Mhm.
So yeah, and he won the Heisman
Yes, he did.
and had to give his Heisman
There's an
back.
asterisk by his name.
And yeah, there's an asterisk by his Heisman because there was under the table, quote unquote,
Dealings.
money being, yeah, dealings, better way to put it.
Mhm.
And the way that this works, and I live maybe a little bit over an hour from one of the biggest football schools in the country. LSU has a lot of emphasis on their football team.
Yes, they
And
do.
the LSU Tigers, the games are always televised, famously as a
Mhm.
night game. Uh, they have a ton of marketing. And whether it's alumni giving back to the school, whether it's advertisements for the team, and definitely the use of their likeness and their name and their number
Mhm.
for athletes like Jarvis Landry, wide receiver at the Cleveland Browns, or Odell Beckham, who is, a superstar or was one for a while. Those guys are insanely talented and
Yes.
made LSU a lot of money, a
Mhm.
lot of money, whether it's ticket sales or whether it's, jerseys or anything that might have their name or likeness on it.
Or their
The thing
number,
was, or their number.
because in
So
college, they
in
don't
the
really do the names on the back most of the time.
so have you always felt like that needed to be
Yeah,
removed? Like, were you part of that anti-NCAA
I
kinda thing?
was,
Why are
because
they
it's like, why would you restrict them this potential money? And granted, I do know a lot of these athletes have full ride scholarships or whatever, but why not give them the money so that they can come out of school completely debt free, you know? Or,
Or if they
pay
blow
back their parents for all of the hard work that their parents did for them to get them to this point. It's just been
or
I
let's
don't
or let's get a little dark with it. Something really bad happens to them in college. Their professional hopes are dashed.
Yeah,
Maybe they still got a bit of a nest egg to fall back on.
exactly, like, Greg Oden in the NBA. He left school, left Ohio State, and then had an injury-riddled career, and now he's back at Ohio State trying to get his degree. Whereas if he would have had a little nest egg of money, who knows what would have happened, you know?
Well, I got in this conversation with my brother-in-law who's a LSU grad and is a bit more of an old school kinda guy where they should
Mhm,
he feels like those athletes are getting an education and they should be thankful. And when I kinda posed the same situation to him, like, you have a star like running back or linebacker or
mhm.
whatever position, and that kid blows his knee in his sophomore year, it's not like they keep him on that scholarship in his junior and senior
Right,
year.
exactly.
That's
The
they don't get
perfect
the full ride either way.
the perfect example is Eric LeGrand from Rutgers, paralyzed
Well, and that's the
paralyzed
risk
in
they're
a game,
taking. Yeah.
and that's the risk they take, but had he been able to be paid, he could have not been struggling like he is right now, because 'cause he's got a lot of medical bills, because the minute you get hurt, yeah, that college can, help you out and get you into the good doctors, but your parents are getting those medical bills. You're under your parents' insurance.
Well, and you're risking for entertainment that profits the university or,
Yeah.
whatever it is that you're going to. The thing I was saying is this is where I think the NCAA has to be just greedy in their perspective on this because they knew that this was coming down the line.
Mhm.
And if I had anything to do with if I was involved with the NCAA and saw that this was coming down the line, I think I would have been more, "You know what? Maybe we should give them some ability to make money
Right.
on their likeness on those give them a piece of
Mhm.
the action." Because now those guys are gonna lawyer up and they're
Mhm.
gonna it's all gonna be this kind of business negotiation from when they're being recruited.
Right.
And what's a school that's the interesting thing is, do you think it'll have the effect of dispersing talent to smaller schools? Because places like Alabama have superstars sitting on the beach or on the bench.
And on the beach. No, I'm just kidding.
Kind of on the beach too, yeah.
It could potentially disperse a lot of players, but
It's really
you'd
interesting.
have to go to a Division I school. That's the problem. It's only good for D1 right now.
And the really good D1s, I assume, are the
Yeah.
only ones that are going to be getting these deals.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, like the Ohio State, Michigan, LSU, Alabama,
It's just Ohio State.
Oklahoma,
Just call it Ohio State.
the Oh, yeah, I know.
Ohio State.
I don't know where that came from either. I need to look up where that shit came from for the
Because
first
there's
time.
2 Ohio States in Ohio.
Oh, and this one's what a
The Ohio
differential.
State.
So what is that basically your overall opinion on it is that you're supportive and you're glad that it happened?
Yeah, I'm just really glad it happened. And then there was a quote from JJ Redick. I don't know if you guys followed college basketball at all, but
No, I
he
didn't.
played for Duke, and he was really good. He plays for the Dallas Mavericks now, and they were asking him about it the other day on one of the radio shows, and he said, "It's probably a good idea that they didn't have that when I was in college because I would have just spent all my money on Natty Light and popped collars." And I think I laughed for like 45 minutes. I was like, "Oh my god, I love you. You're so funny." But yeah, I'm really excited about it because it kind of draws into my dream career.
Yeah,
And
you were talking about this. What's your dream
yeah,
career?
so
What's your next
my
job?
my dream career is I would like to teach on one of these major college campuses, a class for athletes and the broadcast journalism majors, teaching them a class on how you give post-game interviews, how you dress, how you manage your money, how you come across the public, what to delete on your Twitters, what not to post on Twitter. Just like a basic life skills class for college athletes. I think that would be so cool.
Social media agent.
Yeah. How to be your own social media agent with
Just
a little
you be
life.
their agent.
Oh, yeah.
Like your agency.
Yeah.
Your
And
agency
then
would be
on the flip side, invite the broadcast majors in that want to do like sports interviews so that because most of them, no offense to anyone out there that this relates to, but a lot of them are sometimes really dumb girls who think that they're going to meet an athlete and marry an athlete, which I obviously am jealous about that I didn't follow that career path.
I was about to say, a
But
little thirsty?
yeah, but some of them come fresh out of school and they think that they deserve their spot to interview people, and that's not the case. They don't know how to do it. They ask stupid questions. So it'd be teaching the broadcast journalism people how to conduct sports interviews with the D1 athletes, and both of them would practice together. I think that would be cool. It's my dream
There are
career.
there's a couple out there that are okay, but I give you your point. There are more often than not, I get a little question marks around my head
Mhm.
thinking like, why is this person the one?
Do you even know what a sport is? That's what I
Do you know what sports
Do
ball
you
is?
do you know what you're talking about? Stop
I
reading
it
off your
just
card.
yeah, I give you that. I would like to have a more personable connection with those kinds of players. Every time I've seen a setting where there is that kind of connection,
Mhm.
whoever the interviewer is, it's a much more interesting look at that person or player or athlete. I think
Right.
that's why I like Rich Eisen. For there are plenty of reasons whether you like or don't like Rich Eisen.
Yeah, I like
And
him too.
famous sports caster,
Mhm.
and he just has a great way of getting a different side of whatever athlete's sitting in his chair.
Yeah.
He's really
I
gifted
really
at
like
that.
Erin Andrews too. I think she does a good job.
So that's one of the female or women interviewers that I like,
Yeah.
but
She's
she
really
knows
good.
her shit.
Yeah,
And
because
she's
it's what
she's
she loves.
analytics.
She
Yeah, exactly.
loves sports. Where on the other end, there's women that are on ESPN that you're like, you just got hired for your looks. Let's be real here.
Yeah, I mean those I think that's all how they present the show, right?
Yeah.
That's the brand. That seems more like the ESPN brand.
Mhm.
You don't see as much of that on NFL Network, to
No,
be
you don't.
fair.
Mm-mm.
You really don't. The ladies of the NFL Network seem to all have to know a pretty
And
good
those
amount.
are the ladies that should be doing the games because they are very smart. They are very with it. They study. they went to the school of Aaron
Well, they're
Andrews.
fans. I
Yeah.
mean, they're fans like anybody.
Yeah.
And that's got nothing to do with their gender,
I
right?
mean,
That's the point,
there are really
right?
good people. Yeah, there are really good
You
sports
have to be a
specific
fan of the
women.
sport. It seems
Mhm.
pretty basic. If you
Yeah.
wanna do good at being, that tier of interviewer, broadcaster personality, you have to be a real fan of the sport, and it doesn't really seem like, that I think the only time I notice that they're women is when I think they're not a fan of the sport.
Yeah.
Does
And
that make
that's the same
sense?
for me. Mhm.
Otherwise,
Especially
they're just a
watching the
very
NBA
talented
finals.
fan.
It's like, do you know what you're talking about?
I also
Wow.
realize they're women when Cam Newton makes fun of them because he thinks women don't know anything about routes.
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad.
Cam Newton doesn't know how to dress.
No, he does not.
I
He needs
think
my
he's just
class.
I think
He
we
needs
don't
class.
understand that this is Cam Newton has he's an artist, and this whole dress code thing he does for interviews is just him cosplaying as Pharrell. That's it.
Actually, it makes a lot of sense.
That does make a lot of sense.
It's kind of perfect.
If
So
Pharrell and Prince had a baby.
a very big, athletically gifted baby.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, to wrap up sports, any updates on Aaron Rodgers? No.
No.
Still going to be a Packer. Okay.
He's going to sit
Great.
out the season
We'll see.
as a
God,
Packer.
I would have a lot of respect for him if he did.
I hope he does, because they're
As a
treating
Minnesota
him
Vikings fan, I
poorly.
really want that to happen.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Or just have Everson Griffin break his collarbone again. Whatever works. I don't really care.
Well, I think that's a pretty good way to close out sports, talking
Yeah.
about injuring a player.
Mhm.
Nice. So, over the 24 episodes of this fun program, and definitely since we have added the sunshine to our throuple, we know that Brando has his own flavor, and Brando has his own voice and his opinion, and we kind of know that we have to make sure that we've got him walled off in his own little segment that has its own little disclaimer, just because it's really entertaining. And Brando, we know that you have something to go over. So what are you going to cover?
I have solved police violence. Go ahead and play the disclaimer.
The following does not necessarily reflect the opinions, views, policies, or beliefs of the Ruminations Radio Network, its partners, affiliates, stylists, neighbors, or next of kin. The Ruminations Radio Network does, however, support free speech and wishes you, citizen, a triumphant day. Welcome back to the show. Geez, could someone get me a whiskey?
The whiskey's coming right up, Mitch.
So now that that's been said, Charlie, you know me a very long time. You know I occasionally go down weird YouTube rabbit holes, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Probably one of my favorites is the sovereign citizen movement. Do either one of you know about these people?
Yes, I
I'm going to pretend I don't.
So these basically are a bunch of R words.
Thank
We're not
you.
going to get canceled.
Very politically correct of you.
So proud
That
of you.
really think that they don't have to abide by the laws of the United States, or well, specifically state and local jurisdictions, because some of them believe there's a lot of weird views. Some of them think that the Articles of Confederation were never truly replaced by the Constitution. Some of them think that the sheriff is the only one that can actually police them in any given area. It's just a whole bunch of crazy conspiracy theory bullshit. And
Crazy on the level of like, I am a
delusional.
god from Jupiter, prove me wrong.
That's more of the Moorish Americans. I'll do that. I'll do that one another time. They're a whole different batch of
Yeah.
batshit crazy. But and I put a A&E court cam clip of you guys
Oh yeah,
for
you
you
did.
guys in the Discord so you
I
can kind of see what
love
I'm
that
talking about.
show. That's
I'm
a
gonna
good
post that
show.
link to Instagram and put it for this episode so people have something to go to.
But
That's a good show.
every now and then you find a real good sovereign citizen versus the police compilation. And I got to tell you, it never ends well for them, and I love it.
Mm-mm. It's the
Because
best.
what they'll often do in traffic stops, and again, some of these people use weird different they try and mix and match legal definitions of words versus common use definitions of words to try and get away with their bullshit and geshkalop the cops into talking circles to try and get out of a ticket. And it's ridiculous. And a lot of cops have very little patience for it. One of my favorite videos is, and they always record their own traffic stops too, and they somehow get leaked onto the internet.
They have to nowadays.
So I wanna make sure that we get a clear, simple definition. So if you're listening, you understand who we're talking about. So this is according to Forbes. Uh, what does it mean to become a sovereign citizen? And in Forbes, it says a sovereign citizen is someone who believes that he or she is above all laws. The long answer is a bit more complex. Think about a law you don't like, any law at any level of government. So basically, they think they are literally above the law.
And a lot of them think if they get dragged into a courtroom to be in front of a judge for something, oh, look, there's gold fringe on that American flag. This is Admiralty Court. You have no jurisdiction over me. Again, crazy delusional bullshit.
Wow.
So, one of the best videos I've seen on the internet in a long time is someone trying to pull this crap with a cop that looks like J.K. Simmons from Whiplash. Terrifying looking police officer.
Oh my.
And as is sovereign citizen tradition, they just don't they crack their windows very little, mostly enough just to hand back and forth crazy bullshit paperwork they
Oh, are
think.
these guys with the sticker that says I will not provide my
Yeah.
identification?
Yeah,
Yeah.
those kinds of people.
Okay, okay.
What this one cop did was he just wasn't having it. He reached his fingers into the mostly closed window, got a good grip on it, yanked it outward, shattered it,
I love
and
this
dragged that guy
video.
out of his vehicle.
So good. That video was great.
Yeah, you've seen it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. I liked
And
it.
there are I may be mispronouncing this, but it's I think the German concept of Schadenfreude, taking pleasure in someone else's misery. I really enjoy watching consequences happen to really stupid people. It's one of the reasons why I miss
Oh,
watching
that's
cops.
great.
Bro, Brando, you are definitely like that should be your name. Like if you had a call sign, if you were a fighter pilot, it would be that. Schadenfreude? Is that what you said?
So yes, so
Schadenfreude.
now that we've established what these people are, let's get to my plan.
Okay.
All right.
I
I don't
can't
believe
wait.
I don't believe all cops are bastards.
They're not.
I don't believe that. I believe some cops are real bastards.
My
Mhm.
father-in-law is a retired police officer, so for reasons both true and also for my better well-being, I also don't believe that all police officers are bad people.
Because they're not.
They're not.
Some cops, some real pricks. But anyways,
Mhm.
Some people.
I think
So,
we
period,
I think I can figure out and we can stop the violence. Here's what we do. And this requires cooperation from both the side of law enforcement and the side of the US citizens. We just have to tell the cops to lay off the minorities a little bit, a lot bit.
Okay.
But we also have to let the American people know, hey, this person does have a badge and a gun. Just do what they say, and if they are in the wrong, you will get your day in court. Because what do you do when the cops ask questions, Charlie?
Comply.
You shut the you shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Questions versus commands.
You have a right to remain silent.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how it works.
But
I-
I think the solution here is, we have the police kind of just, lay off a lot, on the minorities, but just give them carte blanche to do what they got to do to the sovereign citizens because they got to get the stress out somehow.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
make the sovereign citizens the target. Well, I mean,
I think if some
Turn it
prominent
on them.
sovereign citizens get Rodney Kinged,
oh, ouch,
Ooh,
as a
ow.
verb.
it could send a good
Mm.
message. And also, the police should be allowed to pepper spray Karens.
Yes.
Karen, peak Karens.
We've all seen probably by now the Victoria's Secret Karen.
I was just
I
about to
think
say
that's
that.
I think that's a
just
bad
saw that.
example. That seems more like mental illness opposed to just being a shitty person. But
I don't think
if-
that qualifies as a Karen. Like she literally violently attacked that woman.
yeah, shouting "Get away from me" while she's running toward the woman
Yeah.
filming. All this over a free pair of panties, dear God.
Hey,
I
Those
just
panties are
my
expensive.
great segment, by the way. I'm with you. We got to do something. And sovereign citizens just come across to me as the kind of element that would be more impressionable to be misled to do terrible things.
Yeah, because the Venn diagram between Sovsits and QAnon is getting more overlapped by the week, it seems.
Yeah, I mean
They're
that's sort
starting to
of
latch onto each other.
they need each other. Yeah, I guess great segment by the way, man. That's good comments on there. I like
Mhm.
it. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I do think.
But officer, I'm not driving. I'm traveling. I'm free to travel. Bam, dragged out of the car, pepper sprayed and beaten. Maybe even tased.
Well, if
Ooh.
especially those if
This
they
isn't a
put up a
car. This is
fight.
my vessel. Dragged out of the car, tased.
Yeah, what was he
I do
doing?
not
Speeding?
consent. I do not tased.
That should also be for the dumb people that are like, "Tell me why you're pulling me over. Tell me why you're pulling me over. I'm calling 911." That should be for them too.
Well, who
So
is there an injured party? There has to be an injured party if there was a crime. So no, you have no reason to pull me over and bother me.
Yeah.
Tase, double tase.
yeah, there's a communication issue. I mean, before we move on, let's be clear. We're obviously in some capacity speaking a little bit tongue in cheek. We don't
Yes,
want
very
anybody to
very tongue in cheek.
unreasonably suffer. Want to make that clear for
I'm
everybody.
90% tongue in cheek here.
Yeah, I mean, the but we're commenting on it because it does kind of be have to turns out to be kind of a problem, right? I mean, we don't. I think the I'm gonna quote General Milley, and if you don't know who this person is, look them up. I don't think there's any harm in wanting to understand, even for us to want to understand sovereign citizens and to make an opinion. I think that certainly there's some growth for everybody. Everybody suffers from being human. We're all suffering from the human condition, and some of us are not. I don't know, man. The median IQ is 100, and half those people are below that IQ, and I have a hard time hating on people that don't know, that aren't aware of certain parts of what they're doing. It's tough on that. But
But
sovereign
there's a difference
citizens
between
seem
willful ignorance and what you just
well. So
said.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, right? Those sovereign citizens, they seem like they want to start a problem. That's
Yes.
all I'm getting at. I
Absolutely.
might be wrong, but whatever.
If you get now, dear two listeners out there, if you ever want to kill some time on YouTube and have a good laugh, I do a YouTube search for sovereign citizen bingo.
I think I just don't like assholes. I mean, when it comes down to it, I think there's a way to communication in general. So, like, if we're being all joking aside, I think it just occurs to me that they don't have as much ability to communicate with a person in a normal, productive way. Like, there's a way to disagree. There's a way to ask questions. There's a way to comply and get through a certain situation. And we're not saying that specifically about instances with police officers. And clearly, there are instances with police officers that are outside the realm of what we're talking about. We're talking about specifically
Crazy people.
crazy people instigating an issue because they think that no law applies to them. I would assume they also believe that the earth is flat and that interdimensional space aliens are causing mayhem because they're
No, it's
big
the
knuckleheads.
interdimensional psychic vampires.
Well, we're psychic. We're
No,
not
officer, I
vampires.
do not wish to I do not wish to create joinder with you, officer. I don't even know what the fuck that one means.
I don't know what
You
it
hear
means.
some wacky stuff come out of their mouths before they get dragged out of their
Oh
cars.
my god, yeah. That compilation video that was on Court Cam. They sprout some crazy shit.
Was I forget, was the guy trying to carry the camera into the courtroom a part of that one?
Yeah. Mhm.
And he just gets straight up tased?
Yeah. That was my
Mhm.
one of my favorites. And the other one is the one with the guy in like the town hall meeting, and then there's like 2 security guards there. That
Oh,
one was
yeah.
good too.
They're all crazy.
Yeah, it's certain their representatives certainly are. I
Mhm.
think
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
these people
know.
don't vote.
Well, look, maybe they probably vote more than once, and if they don't vote, they've joined cyber ninjas and cause a debacle.
Yes, and now the state of Arizona is out $3 million to replace voting machines. Thanks, assholes.
Yeah, I mean, I think effectively, I wish people read more and listen less. I think it's a good place to kind of end the show on this little fact. I noticed that some of the court cases going on that are trying to sue someone like Rachel Maddow for libel, or for instance, they're trying to hold uh, Hannity and people at Fox accountable for disinformation. And the growing defense, and the thing that I took out of this recently, was legally their lawyers are trying to float the argument that no reasonable person could watch the show that they participate and produce on and take it seriously.
That
That
sounds
that
good. Just make a chyron saying that
well,
run
so
underneath Tucker Carlson every night.
but so this is not just Tucker Carlson. It's not just left and not just right,
Oh,
right?
I
It
know.
has to
I know.
the same defense legally is being floated, whether it's the lawyer for the defense of Rachel Maddow or whether it's the lawyer for defense of Fox. They're basically saying that news attainment, if you are a reasonable person, I like this description. If you're a reasonable person, would be able to differentiate between fact and fiction on their own. They're on a news station. They are acting like they're a news program. And yet, when it comes down to the one remaining environment where you are forced to be honest under threat of penalty, or as truthful under threat of penalty, and that's what you're starting to see in this routine's cases. And in this instance, it was hard not to notice that this is a big omission, that they and it's the only obvious one regular people will ever get, right? That those shows know they're full of it. And they know that some people will believe the way that they put things out. And they need those people because they need to sell what their commercials are for. So, whatever ad revenue. And that's sort of what I mean, that's where I come down to the big issue, like whether it's sovereign citizens or whether it's your dad, right? And my parts of my family too.
Oh, we'll have a
They
fun chat about my dad once we turn the mic off. We got into it yesterday.
Well, so that's kind of what I'm saying, right? They don't know, and there's no easy way to be a person to bring it to their attention that they're being misled or deceived, because immediately they think that you have another point to prove. Like, I could have nothing else to prove, just point out to them they want you to be upset. That's why they're trying to upset you. They want you to be upset, and they want you to ask your doctor about this drug because that's what's on Fox every other commercial. They want you to ask your doctor about that drug. They want you to try that new drink. They want you to buy a Peloton, and they want you to be upset
They have what I
about
refer to
whatever.
as an oppression kink.
It certainly seems like they're just shock jocks, man. They're
Oh, I'm
they're
talking about
they're
the people that believe those crazy
Oh
bastards.
yeah. Well, look, they think they're being good. They think they're standing for something. They've been like they've you know what I mean? They feel like they're on the side of something, which I think is whoever they is. And I really do mean that there's an element of this on both sides of the political spectrum, in my opinion. I think we all suffer from being fucking human. There's just something that each one of us is gullible about or stupid about. Nobody's on top of everything. And those
Right.
shows tend to find those individuals who are more susceptible to buying into that shit. And maybe they don't want to read for whatever reason, right? Maybe they don't have the time, or they're busy, or they're being fucked with at work and they're exhausted when they get home. They don't want to break open the news and tap through, four different versions of a story,
Yeah, they're not
right?
crazy like I am. They actually have a
Yeah, they're
life.
right. They're not crazy like us. But we'll have to go through those things and dissect it for them here and there.
I
That's
think the
still
most
crazy.
important
Sovereign
thing that
citizens are
people need to
wacky.
remember is it's entertainment.
It is. Yeah.
And
And
they've had to admit in court.
yeah.
Well, and
Whew.
that's the thing, right? Even if you look at their programming, like if you actually look at their scheduled programming, that newsotainment or entertainment classification is the vast majority of their programming,
Mhm.
and then there is a small section of news. So if you're referring to Fox, Chris Wallace is their news program,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Yep, that's
Hannity,
just the one. That's
Carlson,
it.
yeah, all those other ones are all entertainment,
Mhm.
and they want to spin their version of the news, which there's that's fine. But
Because the viewers get off on feeling like they're oppressed. They have an oppression kink.
so that's the brevity perspective on here. Don't be an oppression kink, and stop listening to the people who want to jerk you around like that. Don't become a sovereign citizen.
Yeah,
and
please
learn
don't.
how to communicate.
And
Learn how to
remember, and
communicate.
remember, coronavirus is temporary. Wu-Tang is forever.
Yeah, save
R.I.P.
the boners.
Bismarcky.
We're gonna end
Rest in
on
peace, Biz Marquee.
oh,
Wow.
let's do that. Let's you know what? I was gonna end on a funny PSA, but let's just take a moment and remember Biz Marquee, who unfortunately passed away. We just learned before
Mhm.
recording on the show. Um
57 years young.
I
Way too young.
really 57 years young. And we don't know what happened, and I hope it sounds like at least he went peacefully, but I cannot tell you how much joy. I mean, there are a few songs like that, and it's a ridiculous and absurd, wonderful tune. If you have not ever heard it, please listen to it. Get on Spotify, look it up on YouTube. It's probably
I
going to be
can't
playing on the
imagine
news.
someone not having heard that song.
Well,
That's
you
the
don't
song I
know.
lost
They
my
were born
virginity
in
to.
There you go. And on that bombshell, we're going to go ahead and end this. This has been Brevity Box episode 24. We are a part of the Ruminations Radio Network. Check us out at ruminationsradionetwork.com. We will see you next time.
Bye.